Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Hogs video mailbag. Curtis Wilkerson here with Inside Arkansas and the pod at the Palace. As always, man, we're almost here. I mean, you can smell it in there. Arkansas, Kansas exhibition. Who cares if it doesn't count? People are camping out for this thing. Just cannot wait. The anticipation is nuts. So what does that mean? People want to know what this is going to look like, right? And I've received just a handful of DMs, seen in the YouTube comments, on Twitter. Curtis, who are they starting? What's the starting lineup going to look like? Who are the starters? It really, like who closes games matters more than who starts it. But fans care about the starters. And, the players, I think, do too, because you want to hear your name called in the intros and everything like that. And when you have an entirely new roster full of dudes, you want to know kind of who the guys are, who has emerged. So this is a perfect time, I think, for me to address that. You'll be seeing this on Wednesday morning. And I'm guessing that we'll probably hear from Cal Wednesday afternoon or maybe Thursday in preview to the game. And we'll kind of find out who's playing and who's not, who's going to be limited or whatever. I don't think Arkansas is going to be at full strength for this Kansas exhibition. So I'm going to tackle this in a few different ways. And also, if you're watching this on Wednesday, make sure you go over to InsideArkansas.com and check out our new projected depth chart where we kind of have the two deep laid out as we see it as of right now with some justification as to why. So let me start with this. In August, early August, right when we launched Inside Arkansas, one of the first stories that I put out was just a post-summer projected depth chart, just kind of, what I heard, what I think, what this might look like when Arkansas gets to the season. So my starting lineup in early August, I had, let me see here. I had DJ Wagner, Nelly Davis, Carter Knox, Adu Thiero, and Jonas Adu. And man, I could absolutely still see that as a starting lineup for Arkansas. What you're going to see here is that the possibilities are kind of endless. What I think they're going to do for this Kansas game, it's going to depend on who's available and who's not. At the Pine Bluff tip-off tour, Thiero was limited, although he did some stuff. Jonas Adu was more limited, although he did some stuff. And then Nelly Davis didn't do anything at all. But he had like a brace or a cast or something on his hand. Well, 2 days later in Birmingham, he didn't have that. So sounds to me like if he's kind of out of that thing or whatever, then maybe he's on the mend. Maybe he's got a chance to play. I don't know yet what that's going to look like. But what I will say is the best lineup that I saw from Arkansas at the tip-off tour, the one that just looked to be in the most sync, the most rhythm, and I think made the most sense was Boogie Fland, DJ Wagner, Carter Knox, Trevin Brazile, and Big Z. They had good chemistry out there, good passing, floor spacing. I really like that. And so maybe that's the way that they wind up going against Kansas. Now, if Nelly's healthy, I imagine he'll be in there starting. Thiero, maybe so. Jonas Adu, my glimpse at him, he looked to be maybe the most obviously hampered, like his explosion wasn't quite there. He looked, I don't want to say lost, but maybe the most behind in terms of the offense. It seemed like he had a little bit more of a ways to go. And I don't know, maybe he was just sore and maybe I wasn't watching him at the right times. We'll see. I would be a little bit surprised if Adu was full go for this one. I've also heard Hunter Dickinson might not be full go for Kansas, but you'd love to see him out there. We'll see. I guess my point is whatever Arkansas runs out there against Kansas and then probably even TCU, I don't know that it's going to be super reflective of what we're going to see in terms of a starting lineup and just kind of your in and out rotation once they get on into the regular season. Now, at full strength, let's talk about that for a minute because my thoughts have changed a little bit from, the end of the summer in early August to now, which is when you guys are looking at this, it'll be October 23rd. I've moved Boogie Fland into my projected starting lineup because I just don't see a world where that can't happen. And honestly, if there's a silver lining to John L. Davis being out for a little while for Arkansas, and Calipari noted this, it kind of forced his hand to play Boogie Fland and DJ Wagner together a lot because they were just kind of going at it on opposite teams as their respective point guards. But now they've been able to play together. And I think he likes what he saw, and I like what I saw because both of them kind of seamlessly worked together on or off the ball. It didn't really matter. And I like that because sometimes you never know how that's going to work. Boogie, one of my biggest concerns about him, and we've talked about it, so I don't have to go too deep, but was he big enough and strong enough to handle the load of the SEC as a true freshman? It's a physical league. It's a grown man's league. We know that. Um, he is taller than I thought, and he is bigger and more physically strong than I thought. He's got some meat on his bones. Uh, that makes me feel a lot better about how that plays. And he's got all the things that we thought about, just being an electric playmaker, an offensive creator, a knockdown shooter, really a better passer than even I thought he would be at this stage, just based on what we've seen so far. And obviously, we'll learn a lot more from these exhibitions, and we'll probably update our depth chart before opening night. But I like Boogie Fland in there. I don't see a world how you can keep him out. Well, would y'all think I was just going to bench DJ Wagner when Cal started the man over a couple lottery picks at Kentucky all year? No, of course not. I was really impressed with DJ. He looks like the calming presence on this team. His voice permeates over others out there on the floor. He's just comfortable and confident in the system. Thought he looked really good in there. He's more explosive than I remember last year. Shot's still going to be a work in progress for him. But man, he's strong. When he gets downhill, he just makes things happen. He collapses the defense. And I do think there is an absolute world where him and Boogie can kind of coincide in the backcourt. On ball, off ball, either one of those guys. It seemed to work pretty well in the practice setting. We'll see about the games. But I like that as a 1-2 punch in the backcourt. Well, Curtis, what about Nelly Davis? He's going to be their best player. He's a preseason All-American, preseason All-SEC. Yeah, I actually think Arkansas might go with a 3-guard lineup. I know I argued with a bunch of people about Nelly, and he's a guard, he's not a wing. And then here I am saying, yeah, he might be your 3. 3-guard lineup, I think, is what we might be looking at with Arkansas here. I like the idea of the firepower that comes with Boogie, DJ Wagner, and Nelly Davis. Now, the same dynamics are at play in terms of how would that work between, people have said, well, can DJ and Nelly coexist on the floor at the same time? Well, we've seen that he can do it with Boogie. Can he do it with Nelly? The point is, like, okay, these guys who kind of need the ball in their hands or thrive with the ball in their hands, I think that's a little bit of a myth. I thought FAU was a team that shared it really well. And Nelly Davis had other guys like Elijah Martin back there in the backcourt with him. They had Vlad Golden, who needed to get his touches. A lot of guys who were getting shots up there. Same thing with DJ playing with Reed and Rob Dillingham. It's worked so far between Boogie and DJ. We'll see how it works with Nelly because we haven't been able to see him out there with that dynamic in person. But I like the idea of it. And they played 4 guards at FAU, but what that meant is somebody had to kind of serve as the power forward on defense, and that was John L. Davis. And he rebounds it at a high level defensively. I think he might be a couple inches shorter than your typical SEC wing, but he's so physically strong, and he's a vet to where I think that holds up just fine defensively, and that he's going to get his buckets. So going on into opening night or at full strength, I'm starting to kind of lean towards the Boogie, DJ Wagner, and John L. Davis 3-man backcourt. Now, what about your depth? Because that's another thing I considered earlier on. I saw enough from Carter Knox in terms of guard skills, comfort handling it, better shooter than I even thought, to where, can Carter Knox contribute at the 2? Absolutely. I think he can. So I think they're a little bit deeper there than maybe I initially anticipated. Also, I think Billy Richmond is better and further along than I thought he was initially. Super explosive, great in transition, big time athlete, ready-made defender, to where I think pulling Knox up and playing him some of the 2 doesn't necessarily hurt your depth at the 3, because I think Billy Richmond is going to play a bigger role than maybe I thought. I was thinking 9th man, smaller role player who might emerge as the season progresses. I think he's going to play more right away than maybe I initially gave him credit for. So while I've moved Carter Knox out of my projected starting lineup, it's not because I saw anything that was a red flag to me for Knox. In fact, I was really impressed with a lot of things I saw, but I think he can play more at the 2. He'll still see his minutes at the 3. I don't think his minutes per game changes in my mind, but I like the idea of that 3-guard lineup. So Boogie Fland, DJ Wagner, John L. Davis. I'm moving Trevin Brazile into my starting lineup. Listen, like, the arrow wasn't out there enough for me to see a ton, but TB might be the most impressive guy I've seen so far out there in person. He looks to me to be physically stronger, more confident, more aggressive, and he's shooting the cover off the basketball out there. looked really, really good. So I feel good about putting him in there. And like I said, he was part of the lineup that I was most impressed with. And again, that's not to say that I feel some type of way about a Duthiero. I mean, I still think that he's still going to play 25 plus minutes per game. Could absolutely start. Hell, he could start at 3 different positions on the floor and he can play 5. And that's the beauty of having a guy like that, is when you think about, oh, where are the minutes going to go at this position, that position, when you have somebody who's a Swiss Army knife that can kind of play them all, it distributes a little bit differently. I still think he's going to play a huge role. But man, Brazil's really emerged, in my opinion. We'll see if it translates to game day. We'll see if he stays healthy. I don't know. Friday night, I wouldn't be surprised if Big Z's your starter at center. They're trying to run some offense through him, which I like. I thought he looked good out there. Just so uniquely skilled at his size, with the ability to shoot it, to pass it, to space the floor. Just a unique player. I think it's the best way I could describe him. And then Adu has been limited. So once we get into the season, though, and he's healthy, like Jonas Adu is an all SEC preseason and, last season guy for a reason. He's your defensive anchor, proven commodity in the league. When he's healthy and full go, he's your starter. And I think that just elevates Arkansas so much, because I do feel like Big Z is a guy who's going to emerge and be better than a lot of people are giving him credit for. So my, opening day or full strength lineup would be Boogie Flan, DJ Wagner, Nelly Davis, Trevin Brazil, and Jonas Adu. So there you have it. That was fun. And as you see, we're kind of all over the place. There's so many possibilities with this team. It's going to be fascinating to see. I wonder how consistent the starting lineup stays, because I know there's been times where Cal's been kind of reluctant to maybe start a group that was his best group. Is that going to be the case here? I don't know, but I think right now, at least, it's a good problem to have, because Arkansas has a lot of options. They just got to get healthy, man. And the healthier they are for this Kansas exhibition, the better, because you get those live reps against somebody else. And then we'll see if, maybe they're able to get some guys back. If they're missing Friday, maybe they're back for next weekend against TCU and you can get a look. But man, it's almost here and I can't wait. But I appreciate the folks who were throwing those questions at me about who's the starters. Have you changed your mind? What's the rotation look like? That's kind of where I'm at right now. So where I was in the summer to what I think is going to happen Friday to where I think we're going to have when Arkansas is at full strength. There you have it. Appreciate you guys as always. We'll have a little Kansas preview in the morning for you. But this has been Curtis Wilkerson with Inside Arkansas and the Pod at the Palace. Make sure you get subscribed to the YouTube channel Inside Arkansas. Follow along with our written content, InsideArkansas.com. We'll see you tomorrow. Everybody have a good one.